gaming and Metaverse, a new frontier for sports.
Welcome everybody. So again, we have a wealth of expertise on the panel here, and a lot of kind of first-hand experience within both the technology that we're talking about, but also sports. So before we dive in, let's just have the panel give a very quick introduction to themselves. Bertrand, do you want to start?
Hello. Hello, I'm Bertrand Levy, and I'm running the global partnerships. I'm vice president at the Sandbox.
Oh, you're not on, Artem.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Artem Isay. I'm a founder and CEO of MPax. We are a company that changes the way how content gets monetized, and as far as the sports, we're helping clubs to actually get the ownership of content and cut the middleman.
I suspect your glasses have something to do with that. We'll dive into that as part of this panel. Okay, Marco.
Yeah, my name is Marco Kowalewski. I'm the founder and CEO of Starzz LLC. We are in fan engagement and Web3 services, providing for sports clubs, federations, and as well for individuals like sportspersons, musicians, artists.
Great. And Sam.
Hey, I'm Sam Huber. I run a company called LandVault. We are a metaverse builder. We build infrastructure for big enterprise to deploy their 3D experiences on the web. We have a team of about 120 people now. We relocated here in the region, have a presence in Saudi as well, and we work with quite a few sports clients as well.
Cool, great. So I just want to start off, it's a little bit cliched, but just start off with this idea of, what is the metaverse, right? We've obviously seen a massive hype cycle over the last few years around the metaverse, but you talk to different people and you almost always get a completely different answer as to what it is, which I think is a sign it's still very early and probably isn't any one thing. But I'm fascinated to know what the panel thinks.
Sure, yes, it's a big topic. We heard a lot about the metaverse, and it's still a little bit blur for people. So I will try at least to explain what is the metaverse from a sandbox point of view. And what we are creating is a virtual world, and this virtual world is combined by more than 166,000 different lands. So what you have a picture in mind, and when you're launching Google Earth, you see the Earth from above. It's kind of the same when you're launching the Sandbox.game, and you see the whole map of those 166,000 lands. Inside those 166,000 different lands, we are creating, at the end, 166,000 different experiences that are 3D. And it's so, the goal for us is to have at the end user coming and find 166,000 different spaces, different experiences, while your first move, talking about the metaverse, is to have a digital representation of yourself through an avatar. Then you can be who you want to be, interact with people, so there's a social aspect also. We come from the gaming industry because we were previously, before the Sandbox was a mobile game that ends up with 70 million users. Then we decided to flip it into a 3D virtual world on PC and Mac for now. So there's always a gamification at some point also.
Yeah, and so you obviously made a very conscious decision to move from the web to Web3 and embrace the kind of decentralization and open aspect that enables.
Yes, 100%. And we like to call ourselves the open metaverse because we want to be as interoperable as possible. So it's also Web3 spirit, is be interoperable, no boundaries between different virtual worlds. Also, the first goal of the Sandbox is to ask the end user to become a part of the creation, become a creator, play to earn. So tomorrow you can come, you can buy a land in the Sandbox, create whatever you want, and we have two very intuitive and no-code tools that can help you do that, like in a matter of 5 days, maybe a week. You can create whatever comes out of your mind, put it into our marketplace, or have it into your own world that you just have been created,
Yep.
and earn money out of it.
So there's two interesting topics there which we'll touch on again. I think one is the fact that you're coming from a gaming perspective, and gaming is integral to Sandbox, and I think that's a recurrent theme with the metaverse and gamification, but also the monetization piece. But love to hear anyone else's views on.
Yeah, I think you said it right. We are just in the beginning of understanding what is the metaverse, and I think it's going to evolve a lot, but it's going to change a lot of industries for sure. I think one of them is travel and the way how we work, because as the technology gets closer to the point where our brain stops noticing the difference, and I think we're 3 to 5 years away from it. People will travel.
How many years, sorry?
3 to 5.
3 to 5, okay.
Yeah, so people will travel in Metaverse and do a lot of stuff there. So I think we are in the early stages, and it's going to evolve drastically. And right now, it's like 1997 of internet. I think the Metaverse is pretty much is. That's where we are.
Okay, interesting. Marco, what's your perspective? I know your model's slightly different.
I will say I can combine these both things together for us. When it comes, for example, with the view on sports, it's exactly that we have on one hand this aspect that people from, let's say, every corner around the world would be able, for example, with virtual reality glasses, to attend in a stadium with a virtual view as if they will be there. For example, it's currently not possible for people over in Africa to enter a stadium, let's say from FC Barcelona, but they have access with their mobile phone to everything. And this might be an aspect to change the whole game, because this can bring everyone from around every corner around the world to this stadium, which is also a socializing aspect, which can bring in the earning side, the social aspect. You can combine it with everything. You can sell merchandise in a digital way, in a physical way. So like digital collectibles can be exchanged if you sometimes will attend in a real stadium. I think the ideas are limitless. So it's just a question of time when it will be adopted.
Yep. Okay. No. Interesting. And Sam, what's your perspective, and how do you approach it?
Our definition is somewhat simpler. We believe that the metaverse is just the evolution of the internet into a 3D internet. So we like to call it the 3D internet. We're seeing trends and technologies like real-time 3D engines like Unity and Unreal that started by powering video games that are now being used outside of video games for movie production, for example, or manufacturing simulations. And so little by little, those technologies are becoming the fabric of the internet. It doesn't mean that the whole internet will be 3D, but a lot of the things that we do online today that are fairly experiential can be done better in 3 dimensions. And that's, for us, this is what the metaverse is. So what we do is building tools to enable creators to deploy those worlds on the web, because we quite like the fact that the web is already interoperable. So if you're building things that are deployed on the web, you don't really need to worry about interoperability anymore, because it's already there. The HTTP protocol is pretty good at interoperability. So that's our definition. This is how we're approaching it.
Okay, so it's web-based, which makes it more accessible, presumably.
I mean, I think that, just like you can see on the internet today, there is 2 ecosystems. You have the ecosystem on the web, and then you have applications. And the applications have their strength as well. If you want to do, complex 3D rendering right now, it's better to have an app. But then you have distribution challenges because you have to go through the app stores. So I think what we're seeing now, the technology in the browser is improving quickly. Not to get too technical, but you have a pretty big revolution happening with WebGPU, which is the evolution of WebGL, which will enable to render Unity and Unreal content natively in the browser. And I think when that happens, the benefit of having access to a virtual world from a URL that can be shared anywhere, you can just click, and instead of having a 2D website, you have a 3D experience that you can navigate, and it works on every device, is going to be very attractive for creators, because it's simpler and cheaper. You can build once, and it works everywhere. And also for users to be able to access that on every single device.
Okay, interesting. And so maybe just to explore this difference between a kind of 3D web offering versus a decentralized metaverse. Can you give us an example, just a quick example of something you've done in sports?
I mean, you can still be decentralized, right? The blockchain is really the underlying, system that basically creates this financial engine and the economy inside the content. So whether it's on an app, whether it's on desktop, the blockchain can still be plugged there. So one of the project, sports related, was with Formula One, Abu Dhabi. So the first vision was, let's create a digital twin of the Yas Marina track and use it for video games. So once you have a copy of the track, because we know the position of the drivers, you can literally race against the drivers on the track, which is really cool. And then the next phase, now that they have the digital twin, which is accessible through a browser, is that they also want to use it as an internal tool for logistics and crowd management. So it really shows the power of digitalizing infrastructure, because you can use it internally, externally, for marketing, for internal use, and it has all these different kind of use cases. And then blockchain is playing a role there to power the economics of this game as well.
But it's powering the economy in terms of introducing NFTs or assets, rather than being built on necessarily a decentralized.
I mean, yeah, the hosting itself is not decentralized.
Yep.
But it's, it's just an additional layer of monetization for creators. So different NFTs, different content can be minted as NFTs. So you create a secondary market on top of the content. You have a token that basically can be used as a currency in the experience. So this is just creating an additional environment and more opportunities for creators and fans to engage.
Got it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And this idea of a digital twin is not new. And I get there's a lot of kind of rationale behind it, because sports teams have fans all over the world, and very few of them will ever step into the stadium. How does that play out, Bertrand, in the Sandbox and some of the sports experiences that you've built or built with clients?
To be 100% transparent, we were so focusing on entertainment, we haven't done that much into sports for now,
Okay.
But I'm pushing hard on that, because I know that we focused on music. We have a bunch of artists and major artists, movies, also cinema. So we signed with several studios in Hollywood. So we're gonna have like a bunch of IPs coming. I cannot tell right now, but they are coming. But that said, yes, I know, and I'm coming from the music, because my background, I spent like almost 20 years at Universal Music before I joined the Sandbox. So I know that the fans are more engaged into when it comes to sports than even music.
Yep.
So every time you're a fan of a soccer team or US football or NBA or etc., all fans are. You just have to do one item and it goes like crazy. So we're pushing hard right now into sports. The only real thing that we've done for now is with the MMA through MetaFight. Yes. They're doing great jobs. They signed with all the MMA leagues in the world, all the players, and they have a land in Sandbox, and we're gonna have like bridges between what they're doing and what's into their own land in the Sandbox. But of course, talking to all different sports.
So moving forward, it's a space to watch.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's shift gear a little bit in terms of kind of format. Artem, you're obviously wearing some quite interesting glasses. Let's talk about the kind of impact of hardware, particularly glasses, around first-person view, around XR, AR, VR, and what we think the impact is going to be on sport. We've obviously just seen Vision Pro launching to much hype, but what are the real use cases?
Yeah, so basically, I think the glasses are a great form factor because it actually allows you to move more freely. And with the sports, what we are doing with the glasses is we are helping the teams and sports people to monetize something before and after the game. So it's not something that's already been shown on 100 different screens, but we are giving fans an ability to see the world through that person's eyes and to experience behind the scenes footage that is usually seen a year after when the documentary comes up. So basically, with the glasses and with the AR factors and VR also, we can help a fan to communicate with the person because I have a small screen, and I can actually, if it's one-on-one interaction, I can see the person who is talking to me on the other side of that screen. So it allows for unique content to be created, one. It also allows for gamification inside, because if it's a stream that goes on with thousands of people, we can have gamification inside of the stream where there can be a trivia, where people can answer questions and win different things. There can be a store right inside of the stream where fans can purchase unique memorabilia that's made exclusively for that. So I think the form factor of wearable devices is going to change the way how sports is monetized in a sense. Not the actual game, but an extra stream of income that's a completely unique and new.
So this is first-person view,
yes,
and it's content that is just not readily available at the moment, which is kind of behind the scenes. It's complementary rather than in-game, although I guess it could be in-game.
It could be in a sense, but there's a lot of things that come and play, exactly, rights, this and that. But when we were talking a player getting in a car and driving to the stadium, this is what fans want to see, because this is real life. If we look at how TV evolved in the past 10 to 15 years, real life is what sells. And we give an ability to fans to actually experience those legends, the one that play now or legends that come back to the clubs. So it's a very unique experience to actually, for the stars to keep monetize their talent as they leave the clubs also.
Okay, no, interesting. And anyone else have a view? I mean, Sam, or any of you, are you experimenting with, headsets and looking at kind of VR, XR?
Yeah, I mean, again, for us, the metaverse being this 3D internet, there are many devices that you can use to consume it, just like you can consume the internet on your phone, on your desktop, even on your smart TV. It's going to be the same with the metaverse. You'll be able to have it on your phone. It's 3D content projected on a 2D screen, but the ultimate way to consume it will be through a VR or augmented reality, device. We've done a few things with the Vision Pro, which is still quite limited, but the fidelity of the graphics is really impressive. Yeah. And so it has some interesting use cases for more like static use cases, like museums, for example, where you can extract a product and visualize it in different dimensions. So I think this has, different use cases. I think those, to us, that's my personal view, that those devices will be more a complement of another experience, where you want to dig further into being slightly more immersed, or explore a specific asset in a different way. But at this point, I think most of the experience will still be deployed on a readily available browser or application that billions of people can access.
So more complementary to a core product offering. I mean, I have to say, as you said, visually, something like the Vision Pro is very Apple, right? It's amazing. I'm yet to be wowed by a use case that I think, this is sustainable. This has got legs, which I guess is not surprising, really, in the sense it's still early, and everybody just wants to be first, and they go out and they do their first thing. But it obviously, has the potential, as that hardware develops, I think, to create something extremely immersive. Whether that's in-game or around the game, we will have to see. Marco, just switching gear a little bit. Talking about kind of the use of NFTs and tokens, and maybe, to engage fans, but also maybe financialize the experience. What's your kind of view on that? Is there anything that you're doing in that space?
It's in the first view, you have to see that 2/3 of the people are buying NFTs just of one thing, because they want to make money. And when it comes to sports, it's not like if you have digital collectible like art, where the price can increase maybe more easily. So here it is, when I keep the eye again on the sports side, is that you have to provide the community more usability. That can be special use cases from match-worn shirts, meet and greets, or whatever. There must be something behind it that it's worth it to buy it for a fan. And when it comes to the tokenization aspect, I think it's a different side of this medal, because On one hand, you have fan tokens, where you can definitely get your community more on board when it comes to several decisions, which can be blockchain-based. You can reward them, incentivize them, you know how active they are and how much money they provide into the system. But I will go a step further. You can also tokenize several assets from the sports clubs or as well from a sports person. That's something we are currently as well speaking with a sports agency, one of the top sports agencies worldwide, to buy so-called image rights from players and then tokenize them. So this is normally only a close community for real rich people. We invest like 1 million, 5 million into this kind of rights. And if we tokenize them, that will be the possibility then for every single person to start with investing $100 or something like that, and then participate from these usability of these rights, if it's in football transfers, if it's in marketing purposes or whatever. But I think this tokenization will give access for anybody on the world to take part in this sports business, even if it's football, basketball, or whatever.
Interesting. So it kind of taps into what we were talking about in the earlier panel around the DAO and the financial, having a stake in a team or a player. And I think that should be appealing to a hardcore fan because you interject with a commercial component. Gaming and gamification, as per kind of the subject title. Is there, what's the difference? Does it matter? We were seeing an enormous number of sports entities going into the likes of Roblox, for instance, or Nike teaming up with EA Games and activations within Fortnite, etc. And gaming is obviously a massive, massive industry, and there's a massive crossover in terms of kind of the sports fan. Is the metaverse competing with that? Is it complementary to it? Is it more about gamification? I don't know what people's, if there's a view on that and any examples of what you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I think gamification is one of those things that is very poorly named, because actually gamification is not just limited to games. It's literally everywhere. If you're building a website and you're trying to create high retention, you have to have elements of gamification, which is basically a way to maintain users, incentivize users to stay engaged with your content. And the term is called gamification because it was basically extracting the mechanics that made games so popular and have so much retention. People spend hours playing video games. There's a reason for that. It's not just the pretty graphics. There's things to do, there's mastery, there are ways to compete, and those are the core drivers that motivate humans to keep at it and stay longer doing something. So those elements have to be present whatever you do. If you're building a 3D experience, you have to have some elements of that. If you just have nice showcases where you have nothing to do, and we have seen a ton of experiences like this in 2021 during the hype cycle where you had all these nice looking environments sponsored by a big brand, and then you entered and what now? It's empty, there's nothing to do. People stayed a couple minutes and that was it. There was no reason to come back. So you have to engineer that gamification, and you can do that by creating things to do and tapping into those basic human motivations, whether it's competition, mastery, discovery, and those are I guess psychological drivers that enable us to want to do more of something. And so that's a key driver for sure to make the metaverse exciting and engaging. Those things need to be at the core of the design.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be a game, but it can be heavily gamified.
No, yes, I agree 100%. Yes, we need and you come back to that notion of web, 3D, because at the end it's just the same as a website. If you don't refresh it, if you don't have something, that's come on a regular basis, then the people, the users will come and say, yes, I've been there, so I know this, and you don't have so gamification is a tool, exactly what you said, because gamification is a tool for people to come, and at the end, when you think of what the users want is they most of the time want to have fun, and a gamification gives them the fun.
Gamification, and I guess within Sandbox, also games, right? I mean, you have fully fledged games in there.
Yes, yes, yes. And we try also, with game, it's also education, you know, it's also, so we have a lot of different things that's happening, of course, because we have now more than 400 B2B partners, you know, such as Gucci, Adidas, you know, Warner, Ubisoft, and artists, and a lot of different things. But at some point, you need to have gamification or different things to do on a regular basis.
Yeah, makes sense. Artem?
Yeah, I'll add some from the sports perspective. I think gamification is a great instrument to get the fans to engage a lot more, because as we have seen in the past 10 years, the people who watch the game, there are less and less people who engage in it, because the generation change. People want something new, and people want to be able to actually receive something very unique and interesting. And that's where the gamification comes in, because it allows for sports team to get not to 10% of their fan base, but to 50% of their fan base. And that's a huge numbers. And I think the actual sports and televised sport has to change, and it will evolve. And it will include AR and VR technology, because otherwise it will be instinct.
No, yes, I agree too. You know, and on top of that, you know, when we comes to soccer club or whatever sports we have, we're on a global scale. You know, so they can touch like one time the whole world that comes to the metaverse, and we can have, like, thanks to the NFTs, also token gated experiences that you cannot have in real life, like meet your number one player, you know, or things like that could be so cool to do.
And you make it accessible to a much bigger audience. So final question, because we've run out of time. Do you think, it could just be yes, no answer, that, you know, in say, again, let's say 5 years' time, you know, metaverse and gaming will be as important to a sports rights holder as ticketing, sponsorship, broadcast, you know, their merchandise, their main revenue streams? Do you think it's going to be as important as that?
As a Sandbox, yes, we believe so. Yes, yes. I think I have gray hair, so I knew the web 2, the web 1, you know, and they were just the same question at those times. You're like, do you really think that internet thing is going to be big, you know? And so, again, like Sam said, you know, it's an extension of the web. It's a new web with a 3D dimension in it, and yes, we believe, yes.
Cool. Artem?
Yeah, I think in 5 years, actually, we'll flip, and I think we'll make more money from metaverses than from the regular streams of income, because those streams of income are divided by a lot of different middlemen. And if we're talking about the teams itself as sports, we're talking about the people who actually create the game, so the team itself, they will make a lot more money once they cut out all of the middlemen and start to use the new technology and profit from it. Because I think, I'll give you an example. If, let's say FC Barcelona has 400 million fans, and if they create a system where they show first-person view content that's exclusive for their members and engage just 5% of their fan base on a subscription base, €8 a month or like 50 euros a year, they will generate $4.2 billion in 3 years.
Nice, because it's direct.
Exactly. Now, in sports, a club like Barcelona has a negative balance of $1 billion. So it's going to completely change the way how sports is.
I'm going to have to stop you there because we're over time, but just quickly.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's quite hard to say, because on one hand, technology is changing very, very fast. But on the other hand, sometimes you need some time to implement new things into the mind of people and to change their behavior, how they interact today. So I don't know if it maybe takes 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, but I'm sure the metaverse is here to stay due to the reasons I explained. As well, there are possibilities with ticketing on the blockchain through NFTs, whole game changer when it comes to the black market for selling tickets and everything. So in general, I'm sure that all these several technologies we have here right now will definitely have a huge impact into the market and how the world is currently interacting. But yeah, just a question of time. How long, I don't know.
Okay. And Sam, very quickly.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the metaverse or 3D internet, whatever you want to call it, is the next evolution of media. It's a new way for this sports organization to communicate with their fans. Imagine if you had clubs that didn't embrace social media. Where would they be now compared to the ones who have? So it's going to be the same transition 5, 10 years from now. If you don't have a 3D presence, if you're not on the blockchain, if you're not leveraging Web3 environments, then you'll just be left behind. You can still operate as a club, but it would be like a club today that is not on social media, that refuses to do that. They would obviously be left behind, a lot less fan, a lot less capital.
Perfect. Thank you very much to the panel. A big round of applause and appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.